it's not unusual for me to show up 30 minutes early for work, and sometimes I may even show up an hour early if I've been off for a few days, or, you know. On the nights where I show up an hour early, there's another man that works where I do that I think he may show up an hour early every day, because if I show up that early, it wouldn't be unusual for he and I to walk towards the front together. And this is a Yankee um, that a Yankee in the South uh, is always, it's always clear that this is a Yankee. Um, but there are different Yankee accents that some of them are more gruff than others. Like, I don't know, like maybe a Boston or a Brooklyn accent sounds a little meaner than a Minnesota or an Ohio accent. Well, I've never really found out where this guy's from, but he's got one of those mean sounding Yankee accents, and not only that, he's an older man, and he's very proud that he was once a Marine, and he's tough, and I would imagine that in his early life he would probably have been described as wiry, you know, like a knotted rope. Just, he was probably hell to have to deal with. But as he's aged, uh, he's gotten more and more. He's the type of man that likes to say mean shit, you know. He would enjoy saying "F you," you know. But it almost makes him a likable guy because he is so mean, and I really don't know that he means anything by his meanness. He's just comfortable in it. But on this particular evening, I got it pulled up. You know, I get out and I'm kind of finishing a cigarette by one of those outdoor ashtrays. And he comes, you know, out of his truck and all, and I can tell when he got out of his truck, I could tell he was already really angry. And he said, "I want you to look at that piece of shit." And I looked kind of where he was motioning, and there was a black or dark blue hatchback that it wasn't quite a car, but I wouldn't necessarily call it an SUV either. It looked like a cheaply made something that was relatively new. Anyway, you know, he says, you know, "Just look at that piece of shit." And I said, "I'm looking at the vehicle," and I said, "Well, you don't like those kind of cars." He said, "Not the car. The son of a bitch driving the car." I said, "Oh, well, what did he do?" You know, because he wasn't there. You know, I do remember I kind of looked around to see if anyone else was there. You know, if the guy that drove the car could hear what the man was saying. But it was just me and him there. I said, "Oh, well, what did the guy that drives the car do? He said, he parked in the handicap parking spot. I said, well, maybe he's handicapped. He's not effing handicapped. He doesn't have the sticker. I said, oh, well, maybe he's stupid. He said, stupid's not a handicapped. He's just a piece of shit. And I said, well, are people born stupid? Yes, he said. And I said, well, there's a saying that says you can't fix stupid. So, I mean, do you believe that, or do you think you can fix stupid? He said, no, you can't fix effing stupid. And I was like, okay, well, if, we kind of made it to where we're going, and we had stopped at this point, and I'm looking into these eyes just filled with hatred and anger. And I said, well, if he was born that way and he can't fix it, wouldn't that legitimately make him handicapped? And the guy sat there and he thought about it. It's like he looked down, like he's processing. And he looks back up at me, and I could see his answer was on his tongue, He looks at me with these cold blue eyes, capped with this silver hair that might have had a little bit of black still peppered in there. And he's just looking at me, grinding his teeth, and he said, just get away from me with your weird shit.